In the previous video, we knew that Taplo was staying in school for doing some extra work for Mr. Cooker Harris. In the meantime, Taplo met Frank, who was a science teacher. Taplo had a conversation with him. During the conversation, Frank said that Taplo would surely get his removed for doing extra work for Mr. Coker Harris. Now see what happened. Taplo, well, I am not so sure, sir, that would be true of the ordinary masters. Masters means teachers. All right, they just wouldn't dare not to give a chap means boy, a remove after his taking extra work. But those sort of rules don't apply to the croc, Mr. Croker Harris. I asked him yesterday outright, outright means directly, if he would give me a remove. And do you know what he said, sir? Taplo tells Frank that he is not sure that he will get his remove after doing extra work for Mr. Croker Harris. He tells him that this might work for the other teachers, but Mr. Croker Harris is different. He doesn't give a student a remove for doing extra work. Taplo also asked Mr. Croker Harris about his remove, to which the master gave a surprising answer. Frank, no, what? Taplo, imitating a very gentle, rather throaty voice. Throaty voice means high pitched voice. My dear Taplo, I have given you exactly what you deserve, no less and certainly no more. Do you know, sir? I think he may have marked me down rather than up for taking extra work. I mean, the man's hardly human. He breaks off quickly. Breaks off means discontinues. Sorry, sir, have I gone too far? Frank, yes, much too far. Taplo, sorry, sir, I got carried away. Got carried away means became too much excited to stay within limits. Frank, evidently means clearly. He picks up a newspaper and opens it. Taplo, yes, sir. Frank, what was that Croker Harris said to you? Just repeat it, would you? Taplo, imitating again. My dear Taplo, I have given you exactly what you deserve, no less and certainly no more. Frank, looking severe. Severe means strict, harsh. Not in the least like him. Read your nice Aeschylus and be quiet. Taplo, with dislike. Aeschylus? Now see, Frank asks Taplo what Mr. Coker Harris told him upon being asked about his remove. Taplo imitates Mr. Coker Harris and tells Frank exactly what his master answered him. Mr. Coker Harris told Taplo that he will get what he deserves, nothing less and nothing more. Taplo feels that he might have marked him down for taking extra work because he doesn't have human feelings. Then he realizes that he has said too much. Therefore, he apologizes to Frank. Frank asks Taplow to repeat what he has just said about Mr. Coker Harris, and he starts imitating Mr. Coker Harris again. Frank tells him that his imitation is not close to Mr. Coker Harris' way of saying things, and he tells him to read his book Aeschylus. Frank, look, what time did Mr. Coker Harris tell you to be here? Taplow, 6:30, sir. Frank, well, he is 10 minutes late. Why don't you cut? Cut means stop doing something undesirable. You could still play golf before lockup. Lockup means the closing time of the school. Taplow, really shocked. Oh no, I couldn't cut. Cut the crock, Mr. Coker Harris. I shouldn't think it's ever been done in the whole time he's been here. God knows what would happen if I did. He would probably follow me home or something. Frank, I must admit, I envy him the effect he seems to have on you boys in the farm. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something? Taplow, good lord, no, he is not a sadist. Sadist means a person who derives pleasure by giving pain or humiliation to others, like one or two of the others. Frank, I beg your pardon. Taplow, a sadist, sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. Frank, indeed, but I think you went on to say that some other masters. Now see, Frank asks Taplow at what time Mr. Coker Harris asked him to come to school. Taplow tells that Mr. Coker Harris will come to school at 6:30. Frank suggests Taplow to go and play golf for a little while, as Mr. Coker Harris will be 10 minutes late. Taplow refuses as he is afraid of what will happen if he shows up in his absence, and he might follow him home. Frank tells Taplow that he is a little jealous of Mr. Coker Harris because of the effect he has on all the boys in the school. Frank asks Taplow if Mr. Coker Harris beats the students, to which Taplow replies that Mr. Coker Harris does not beat the students. He is not someone who derives pleasure by giving pain to others. There are one or two other teachers like that. Frank asks Taplow to be more specific, and he explains to him the meaning of sadist. Frank asks Taplow what he was saying about other masters. Taplow, well, of course they are, sir. I won't mention names, but you know them as well as I do. Of course, I know most masters think we boys don't understand a thing. But, sir, you are different, you are young, well, comparatively anyway, and you are science. You must know what sadism is. Frank, after a pause, good lord, what are our schools coming to? Taplow, anyway, the croc isn't a sadist. That's what I am saying. He wouldn't be so frightening if he were, because at least it would show he had some feelings. But he hasn't. He is all shriveled up. Shriveled up means shrunken. Here it means emotionless. Inside like a nut, and he seems to hate people to like him. It's funny that I don't know any other master who doesn't like being liked. Frank, and I don't know any boy who doesn't use that for his own purposes. Tableau. Well, it's natural, sir, but not with the croc. Frank, Mr. Coker Harris. Tableau, Mr. Coker Harris. The funny thing is that, in spite of everything, I do rather like him. I can't help it. And sometimes I think he sees it, and that seems to shrivel him up even more. Frank, I am sure you are exaggerating. Exaggerating means hyperbolizing. Now see, Tableau explains to Frank that there are many teachers in the school whose names he will not take, but they are sadists. They think that the boys don't understand a thing, but Frank is different from them as he is young and he is from a science background and he must know about sadism. Frank, in a surprising tone, exclaims about the condition of schools. Tableau goes on ranting about Mr. Cooker Harris. He says that Mr. Cooker Harris is not a sadist and yet he has no feelings. He is a type of a person who might hate it when people like him. He further says that he doesn't know any master who doesn't like being liked. Frank mocks Tableau and says that he hasn't seen any student using this quality for his own purpose. Tableau agrees and calls Mr. Crooker Harris crock again, to which Frank corrects him by taking his full name. Tableau corrects himself and admits that he still likes Mr. Crooker Harris and he cannot help it. Sometimes Mr. Crooker Harris sees it and he wrinkles even more, to which Frank replies that Tableau is hyperbolizing. Tableau, no sir, I am not in form. The other day he made one of his classical jokes. Of course, nobody laughed because nobody understood it, myself included. Still, I knew he'd meant it as funny, so I laughed out of ordinary common politeness and feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor joke. Now I can't remember what the joke was, but suppose I make it. Now you laugh, sir. Frank laughs. Now see, Tableau further shares that one day Mr. Crooker Harris cracked one of his classical jokes, to which no one laughed. He understood that the joke was meant to be funny and laughed anyway because he wanted to be polite and to feel sorry for Mr. Cooker Harris for having made such a poor joke. He doesn't remember what the joke was and he asks Frank to suppose he cracks the joke right away. He asks Frank to laugh and Frank laughs.